We begin this chapter with the crowd of students roaring loudly with their cheers as their voices are filled with excitement. In the center of the arena, there was a platform, covered by a powerful blue shield. We turn to Team Baskerville, where Vikir was looking at what was going on with a perplexed look on his face. Thinking about it, he recalled that in his past life, he couldn't remember seeing the Academy's exam, and only understood that students just needed to be decent at fighting. But as he was thinking that, Hai was quick to notice the look on Vikir's face. Seeing that look of confusion made him ask our boy if he didn't have any information about the exam. So he started to break it down. When students step foot into the arena, a virtual reality magic circle will activate, and the area will change into a dungeon. The exam starts when the monsters start charging at you. Although the exam looks simple, and you only need to hold out until your HP drains to 0, the poison that the monsters excrete is real, although it would be much weaker than the original poison. But even if the students were not physically hurt, they still needed to be careful, as their HP could decrease from the poison that the monsters would give off. Hearing about the poison used in the exam, Vikir was curious about whether it was real. Hai tells him that he had heard rumors that if something were to happen, then the instructors would lift the magic wall and interfere in the exam themselves. Seeing how much information they had, Vikir was curious if the triplets had practiced this type of exam before. After asking that, the triplets reveal that while he had been away from the family, the three of them were practicing several times in the estate's drill hall. Seeing that the triplets were confident and well experienced in this exam, Vikir decides to leave it to them, ordering the three boys to go crazy so he doesn't have to move an inch. The triplets were excited to receive that command, repeating in unison that they were going to protect Vikir as his iron pillars. All three of them were excited to carry out their first mission from their liege. As they were talking, Tutor and the boy band made their way over to where they were. Seeing Vikir, he asks if he had prepared properly for their upcoming exam. Taking the chance while the triplets were focusing on their new mission, Tutor sneaks beside Vikir, asking him if he was all right, since he was in the same group as the Baskerville triplets. Sensing the worry in his tone, our boy tells Tutor that he wasn't forced to group up with them. Instead, they just really wanted him in their team. But the blonde hero couldn't believe it. He itches his face closer to Vikir's, whispering to him if he was truly safe and not being bullied into doing something he didn't want to. Vikir corrects the misunderstanding, revealing that the triplets and him had discussed the team up several weeks ago when they said they needed information about monsters. As they are talking, PG hears the announcement of the end of a round for the exam. The announcer had revealed that the first year's group number 68 had ended. The next group to head into the arena for the exam is group 69, which belongs to the Bullies, as Granui's face appears, happily smiling to himself over the fact that it was his group's turn. With the other two Bullies by his side and Sinclair at the back, Granui happily announces to them that it was time for them to go wild. As soon as his group entered the arena, the ant-like monsters started to make some noise and headed straight towards them. Seeing a huge wave of monsters coming right their way, Granui turns to Sinclair, shouting at her on whether she was ready with her spells or not. Slowly opening her eyes, Sinclair had a serious look on her face for once in this story. She calmly tells Granui that her spell was now complete. Focusing all her power into unleashing the spell, Sinclair sends a powerful wave of magic in the air before him, tackling and attacking all the ant-like monsters that stood in her way. Her amazing display of magic skills caught the attention of the crowd as they cheered her on. Vikir was watching her match closely as well. Seeing the way she was performing in the exam, he understood why a commoner like her had claimed the top student rank in magic. But after seeing how skilled she was, Vikir couldn't help but wonder why she didn't do anything during the fall in his past life, when she had become a famous mage in the future. After casting magic one after the other, the round ends for Granui's group as the announcer proclaims the end of Group 69's exam round. All the members of the group were exhausted by the time the round ended. Granui's group, Group 69, had the best record among the first years, a record of 19 minutes and 55 seconds. After hearing the announcement of his group's score, Tutor and the boy band had mixed feelings about it. Tutor himself was angry, as he couldn't believe that Granui's group had actually gotten the newest best record amongst all the first years. In the midst of his anger, his sharp eyes spotted something below in the arena. It turns out to be Granui, who has a smug look on his face as he wags his finger in the air, clearly taunting Tutor, and telling him that he was looking forward to seeing him run around naked. It turns out that every member of the boy band had seen what Granui was doing down below. Their anger rose tremendously, as their eyes gleamed back with massive amounts of hatred towards him. For the next group, it turns out to be the Baskerville clan, with the triplets leading the charge. As they entered the arena, Tutor and the others loudly shouted out words of support to Vikir. While everyone else was cheering, the triplets were focused, their gaze honed onto their objective, which is to take first place, the position that suits their liege the most. As Bianca and PG watch closely, she notices something with Vikir and wonders about it. She asked PG if our boy could actually use the bow, which according to PG's information is true, as it was recorded that Vikir was the Ice Corps' ace for the bow and arrow. After finding out that bit of information, Bianca's interest in Vikir's bow and arrow skill increased. She looks forward to seeing how well he can shoot. And so, as the monsters for the exam were created, Vikir aims and lets out a wave of arrows towards them. PG and Bianca were watching closely, and they were shocked to see the insane speed that Vikir had fired off with. To Bianca, who was a known archer, Vikir's speed was insane. But that was all. After watching him for a bit longer, she could see that Vikir's arrows were only fast but weak, and they all lacked accuracy since most of them simply went past the monsters. Seeing the way he was shooting, Bianca still felt that something was off about what Vikir was showing them. This turns out to be true, as underneath the thick glasses on his face, Vikir's bloodhound eyes were activated. Posing for another shot, Vikir aims an arrow, but this time covers it in the red powerful Baskerville aura. With just a single shot, he manages to blow one of the monsters into complete pieces. But it all turns out to be fake as he was imaging it. He recalls his arrow, thinking that if he had used his actual skill, then that would have happened instead. He could definitely feel his body itching to show off. As the battle went on, he remembered a memory with Ian. He recalled the time she had taught him how to use the bow and arrow like the Balak tribe, and after teaching him, she made him swear a promise to never lose to anyone with the bow. Remembering that, Vikir couldn't help but smile and laugh, apologizing in his head to Ian for breaking the promise. As everyone was distracted with the battle, Vikir took it as the perfect moment to bring out baby Madam. She happily escapes from Vikir's clothes and hops nearby to the closest monster corpse that was giving off poison. Seeing it made her so happy, as the baby Madam's eyes immediately glowed and shined brightly. While she was busy having the time of her life, Vikir was happy that she was. After he had heard that the ant monsters could excrete poison like Granui, he basically figured out that the exam was an all-you-can-eat buffet for baby Madam. And seeing how she was feasting so much, it turns out that Vikir was right. And so, he decides to leave her alone till the exam finishes. With the sound of the timer going off, it marks the end of the exam for the Baskerville boys. Sadly, all three of the brothers were kneeling on the ground in disappointment. Their group's result for the exam was a record of 19 minutes and 50 seconds, which made them rank second amongst the first years. Granui, on the other hand, was laughing like a mad clown after seeing the result they had achieved. Him and his group of bullies were laughing their butts off while being in the stands. Granui was confident that there was no way a commoner like Vikir could beat him. Thus, after seeing the results, he would surely know the difference in their skills. As he and the bullies continued to mock Vikir, Sinclair was chuckling along in an uncomfortable manner, telling Granui that he looks like a third-rate villain. All three of the triplets immediately took a blade to their necks, apologizing to Vikir for not being able to take first place, so as their punishment, they would take their lives instead. But he immediately tells the brothers to stop it. After all, second place was still pretty high of an achievement. As they leave the arena, the announcer tells everyone that the next group up is Group 109. It turns out to be Tutor and the boy band. As they head into the arena, they were discussing Vikir's group results, which was a pretty high score, but their goal was above that, after all, in order to beat the record of 19 minutes and 55 seconds that Granui's group had set. Tutor and the boy band's aim is to clear the first wave. And so their exam started with Tutor destroying an ant monster with a single blow from his spear. Sancho leads the front with Tutor as backup, while PG gives out the orders. In the back, Bianca shoots off any remaining ant monsters she spots with her bow and arrow. Even Vikir was astounded to see the teamwork they were giving off. Tutor and Sancho fight the monsters at the forefront. Bianca supports them from the rear, and PG gives out orders while observing the whole situation. Judging by their great teamwork, it seems like Tutor's group had prepared themselves thoroughly for the exam, which meant that they could really come in first place. But something was bothering Vikir. He felt a sense of emptiness near his collar for some reason, and upon touching his collar, Vikir finally noticed what this dreadful feeling he was having. His eyes were opened wide in shock as he started to look for something. He quickly zooms into a black ball on top of the monster corpse that was closest to him. Upon zooming in, he could see that baby Madam was still happily eating away at the poison of the ant monsters. Her face was filled with complete joy as she ate as much as she could. While Vikir was in full panic mode, he had lost the baby Madam to the exam arena.
Thanks for watching the latest part from the voice of Manhwa. Subscribe for more content and don't forget to comment below what you want to see in the future. Like and share for more.